Well, I wish I had better news to give you about the Chicago Cubs and their weekend opening series against the Washington Nationals. Unfortunately, pitching kind of let us down this weekend, and we didn't get enough runs also. And lastly, but not least, we also are going to preview the upcoming series against the Angels and ask ourselves, what can the Chicago Cubs do to make it right? All this and more right after this. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I'm your host, Mike Jones. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Listen, I appreciate each and every last one of you that tune into these episodes, whether you're looking on Spotify, whether you're on Apple, whether you are on YouTube, whether you are on X, wherever you are. Please go ahead, comment your thoughts on below on the topics for today. We're going to be talking about the disappointing season opener for the Chicago Cubs, riding a high wave of re-signing PCA and Nico Hoerner extending PCA, extending Nico Hoerner, as well as signing Alex Bregman and doing everything that we did. And I feel as though the team right now is already slumping. There were high spots in this series opener that we will definitely highlight, but then there were also the low lights too. So we got to talk about it all. But first and foremost, make sure that you guys leave a comment below. Also, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to Chicago Cubs Central. If you are looking at this on Apple or on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review and a rating for the show. It just helps get the show out there for more people. Thank you to everybody that pays attention to Chicago Cubs Central. It really means a lot to me. Again, there's a lot of different Chicago Cubs podcasts out there. Like I said, and it's growing ever so more and more. But the fact that you guys tune in and take time out of your busy day to watch Chicago Cubs Central, it means the world to me. Thank you so much. Also, don't forget, we do have the Chicago Cubs Facebook group. You are free in there to share messages, free in there to talk your stuff about the Chicago Cubs and the series. You are also free to post things in there, as well as you get episodes in there and everything else. All you got to do is go find Chicago Cubs Central on on Facebook, and ask to join. All right, with that being said, y'all, let's get down to business. Chicago Cubs go up against the Washington Nationals. The Washington Nationals that are honestly in rebuild mode. Let's just call a spade a spade. The Washington Nationals are in rebuild mode. The Washington Nationals take 2 out of 3 against the Chicago Cubs this weekend. Now, there's a couple of reasons why they take 2 out of 3. I think placement in your rotation is one of the reasons why the Chicago Cubs lost this series. And that, to me, goes up on the shoulders of Craig Counsell. He chose to have Matthew Boyd opening day instead of Cade Horton. He also chose to pitch another fly ball pitcher in Shota Imanaga on Sunday, knowing that the wind was blowing out. And they hit Shota Imanaga hard all game long. Phil Maton also gave up a home run, a 2-run shot. So again, it's beginning of the season. I want to preface everything I'm going to say by, this is not me panicking. This is just me talking to you guys, giving you the real. You know we do. We're here. We talk honestly. And I'm going to tell you the truth. Couple of things. First and foremost, I expected regression from Matthew Boyd. I just did. I don't want to say that what he did last year was an anomaly. I want to say that he outperformed his contract last year. I think this year we're going to kind of see him come back down to earth a little bit and be a little bit more of what you saw on Thursday opening day. Now, I don't want it to be to the tune of giving up that many runs, but like I said, I don't know that he'll be unhittable. As far as Shota Imanaga goes, I think Shota ran into some bad luck. He threw some bad balls that ended up in the bleachers. But at the same time, the Washington Nationals were making very good contact with both those pitchers. Now, Cade Horton, in my eyes, in my estimation, Cade Horton should have pitched opening day. I think Cade Horton is a guy for this team. I think that he is somebody that can produce for this team. I think he is somebody that you can depend on for this team. And he showed it in his outing. Cade Horton's outing, the Chicago Cubs win that game 10-2. Cade Horton and Ian Happ both powered the Cubs to that victory. Cade Horton in that game, I'm looking up his stats really quickly. Cade Horton in that game, 6 1/3 inning pitched, only allowing 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts on 75 pitches, 53 of those being strikes, to the tune of a 2.84 ERA. Nobody else gave up a single hit or earned run the rest of that game. And you had Jacob Webb, Caleb Thielbar, and Phil Maton in that game, pitching the rest of that way. That is how you lead a team to victory. Now let's go look back at Thursday's game. Let's go look back at what happened Thursday. For the first initial game against the Nationals. So you look back at that game, the Chicago Cubs end up dropping that game as well, 10-4. And let's look at Matthew Boyd's stats. So Matthew Boyd in that game only made it 3 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. He started that game very, very strong, but then it went very much so downhill for him. Now let's look at Shota Imanaga's start. Shota Imanaga went into this game and literally pitched 5 innings, allowed 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts on 82 pitches. Shota Imanaga in this game started out very well, and then it literally went downhill in the first inning. He got the first 2 strikeouts of the first inning, and then turned around and gave up two like softies, like it was just like lobs out into right, one out in the center field, one out into left, and then after that, Weimer comes up and it knocks in a 3-run homer. And the Chicago Cubs find themselves playing from behind the rest of the game. We don't have the type of offense, especially without Seiya Suzuki, where we can afford to play from behind. I'm just going to be honest with you. Dansby Swanson, so far, still trying to figure himself out. Nico Horner's been okay. Michael Busch has had himself a day or two. I'm not sold on Moises Ballesteros yet. I do think he'll be good. I do. Do I think this year will be the year he's good? Expectations are high for this kid, guys. And he didn't look great today. He didn't look great at all. You don't want your DH going 0 for 4. You don't. I get Craig trying to give guys time to play too. Michael Conforto went 0 for 2 in the game. Dansby Swanson 0 for 3 in the game. Carson Kelly 0 for 4 in the game. Pete Crow Armstrong 0 for 4 in the game. Michael Busch 0 for 4 in this game. The Sunday game, the one that they lost. Breggy hit 2 home runs in this game. Ian Happ also got a hit in this game. Oh, I'm sorry. Ian Happ got a homer in this game. I apologize. If you're the Chicago Cubs, if guys aren't on base and the way the wind is blowing at Wrigley, you don't have the luxury to play from behind. That puts the onus and the pressure on pitchers, especially in the first, second, and third innings. You've got to come out sharp. You cannot allow yourself to come out and give up 3 runs in the first, Shota Imanaga. Matthew Boyd, you cannot allow yourself to compile mistake after mistake that leads to a big inning. It's hard for a team like this to climb themselves out of it. We just don't have the offensive power. Defensively, the Chicago Cubs are probably one of the best defensive teams in the MLB. Offensively, it's going to be a struggle. We'll have games where we blow teams out. We'll have games where, like I said, where we look untouchable. But I think that we are going to find ourselves in a situation where we see the Chicago Cubs more often than not. If it's a game where they get beat bad, it'll start early. And you'll be able to look at the starting pitcher and pinpoint the minute that this game got away from us. 2 different games got away from us. I like the way the Chicago Cubs responded on Saturday. Don't like how they went right back to the same crap on Sunday. This can't happen. This is not a series you're supposed to lose. I understand it's the opening weekend series. I understand it's the opening of the season and whatnot. But this is one of those series where you look at your competition. Let's look at your competition. We've talked about it. Me and Sam Ober talked about it when we did the season preview. Who's the Chicago Cubs competition? The Milwaukee Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers opened up their season going against who? The Chicago White Sox. And what did they do? Opening day, blew them out 14-2. The next day, that Saturday, played them again, beat them 6-1. Sunday, they were down 7-3 and came all the way back and beat the White Sox. And this is them doing this without Jackson Cheerio. This is them doing this without the main pieces that they're supposed to have. The Chicago Cubs are going to have to figure something out. They're going to have to make adjustments. They're going to have to get better. You got to be better than dropping 2 games to the Washington Nationals. They're not that good. They're not. Joey Wiemer is the guy that beats you twice, really? Puts the Nationals on his back? Now, I can appreciate if it was James Wood and he just came out and he just, like I said, he was just hitting homer after homer. He only hit 1 home run this series. He looked disinterested the whole series. Yet and still, somehow, you find a way to lose this game. Shota Imanaga, you got to figure something out, dude. You're on the clock. Matthew Boyd, you're in your last year. Like I said, with the Cubs, I don't foresee the Cubs re-signing Matthew Boyd. I'm going to be completely honest with you. That'll be somebody else's spot. And if Shota Imanaga don't get his act together, he won't be pitching for the Chicago Cubs next year either. You got to be better than this, Shota. You got to be better than this. We take a look at the hitting. I'm concerned. I am concerned about Moises Ballesteros. I am concerned. He's taking big hacks. Now, I mentioned after the Thursday game that Moises Ballesteros, like I said, that he took big hats but kind of hit into some trouble. You know, like I said, where it was hittable, the wind would knock it down. But I look at what he did in the Sunday matchup, and I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed. A common theme that you're going to hear me talk about all season long is the fact that the Chicago Cubs did not do enough hitting-wise. In fact, a lot of people are looking at and it's the nature of the trade, obviously. A lot of people are looking at Owen Casey and what he's doing with what he did with Miami this weekend versus which we can't even say anything yet because Edward Cabrera hasn't pitched yet. He will pitch against the Angels, which we'll talk about that in a minute. But a lot of people are looking at that and they're saying Edward Cabrera better be good. Edward Cabrera better be this. He better be that. I'm looking at Moises Ballesteros, who the Chicago Cubs said is untouchable. And then I'm looking at Owen Casey and what he's doing. That's really who I'm looking at. That's the matchup that I'm really grading what Moises Ballesteros does by. The offensive output of Owen Casey versus the offensive output of Moises Ballesteros. Because you would not have Michael Conforto out in right field right now. You would not have Matt Shaw out in right field right now if you had kept Owen Casey and traded Moises Ballesteros instead. Now, again, I also think that it's also important to mention who Owen Casey was going against this weekend. He's going against the Rockies. The Rockies don't have near good pitcher around them. So in my eyes, like I said, I want to see the body of work at least until a half a season. But as we come into this first series of the year, I was not impressed from what I saw from Moises Ballesteros. And that's fair. The pressure is a lot. And it's only good. The expectations are only going to mount. The Chicago Cubs are spending a lot of money signing these guys up. And if he wants to have a future on this lineup and on this team, he's got to produce. Point blank, period. The Chicago Cubs are going to get their chance to produce. They're going to go up against the Angels. We will see Monday. We'll finally get to see the debut of Edward Cabrera as he pitches for the Chicago Cubs. He will be going up against Ryan Johnson, who last year had an ERA of 7.36 with 16 strikeouts and a whip of 198. Mike Trout is looking pretty good right now. He's got 2 home runs on the season, 3 RBIs so far. Jorge Soler is also the RBI leader for the Angels. Meanwhile, Ian Happ is for the Chicago Cubs. So we'll see what happens there. Then you look at the Tuesday matchup. You got Jose Soriano pitching for the Angels. And he's going up against Jameson Taillon. And that'll end the month of March. And then we go to April 1st. Matthew Boyd going up against Yusi Kikichi. Man, this one got me in a stranglehold. I ain't gonna lie. Even when I was talking about the Cubs potentially picking him up, I couldn't say his damn name. But we'll see what happens. He gave up a decent amount of runs against the Houston Astros. So we'll see. Look, basically what I'm trying to tell you guys is it's not time to overreact right now. It's not. The Chicago Cubs have ample time to get this figured out. Your next series is that you're going to see the Chicago Cubs play in is they will do the Angels. Then after they finish with the Angels, then they'll move on to the Guardians next weekend. And then after the Guardians, they go down to Tampa and they'll play Tampa. And then we host the Pirates for a weekend series. And then we go to Philadelphia. And then we go to New York. Man, we're getting Philadelphia out the way. We got Philadelphia both times already in the month of April. So we'll be finished with Philadelphia. Won't see them again. And then we go from Philly, and then we hit that West Coast. We go Philly into LA to play the Dodgers, and then to San Diego after that, and then to Arizona. So, like I said, the month of April is not an easy month for the Chicago Cubs. You are going to have a good month against the teams you're supposed to beat, meaning you need to beat the Angels, meaning you need to take 2 of 3 from the Guardians, meaning you need to try your best to sweep the Rays and the Pirates, because it gets tough after that. You got the Phillies twice, so you never play the Phillies good. You play the Phillies 7 times in a matter of 2 weeks. And then you got the New York Mets after that in between the Phillies. Then you go Dodgers, who are undefeated so far, and then you go Padres to end the month. It's going to be very important that you have good series. The last thing you want to do is have a really bad month and put yourself in the rut and the hole that you have to dig yourself out of. We'll see what the Chicago Cubs do. Somewhere on that road trip, it was rumored that Seiya Suzuki is supposed to be coming back. That's going to be huge for the Chicago Cubs. We definitely need Suzuki back. But let me know you guys' thoughts. What were your thoughts on the opening series against the Angels? Again, it's disappointing, but I think the Cubs will course correct. And we'll see where they go from here. Let me know your thoughts, guys, on the upcoming series. Again, I'll post another episode after the series with after the game against the Angels Monday night. And like I said, I have a special guest for that series. I mean, for that game, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, man, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. I sincerely hope the Cubs get this figured out because I don't like talking like this, but we'll see what happens. Until next time, go Cubs, go.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.